Break a leg, switching now. Boom, boom. All right. Do we see? I stare vigorously at chat. Hello, chat. Oh, we are live. Hello, everyone. Everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, we're live, everyone. Hope we're all doing fabulously today. If you don't know me, I go by I'm a Betty Black because everywhere I go, people say, Betty Black. And they're right. And I am so happy to be your first moderator for the first panel of Stream Queens Con. Welcome, welcome. I hope we're all doing stunning. We're talking about music, y'all. We're gonna keep it real cute. We're gonna be really pushing. We're pushing the edge. Now they were brave starting off with music with all this DMCA stuff going on. So we're gonna see if we can keep this stream on. I'm just kidding. We're gonna be fine. We're talking music. I am so blessed to be surrounded with some incredible and talented fellow musicians in the chat. We've got some queer punk band representation. We've got some DJs in the house. We've got a trained flautist in the house. I myself am a singer-songwriter. As a musician, I go by Rudy Six, and you can find my things on the stuff. We're going to be sharing a few clips of our friends doing what we do best. If you will avert your gaze. Well, you don't have to avert anything. I will just avert what I'm showing you. But yes, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm actually Mellow Thing, who produces some of my music, is actually a bandmate of our friend Dan from Deuterella, who's joining us. We're going to be playing some footage of us getting down in our natural elements. We dearly miss what we do. But yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about me in a hot minute. It's not even that important. I'm just here. I'm optional. So let's throw it up right above me. We're gonna pass it on up to Dan from Deuterella. Hello, Dan. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Deuterella.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm the singer of Deuterella. It's a two-piece. And we're from East LA, and we make pretty aggressive, stoner pop music. And it's been a journey, especially during these times.
Definitely. And Dan, feel free to share. You're here with us under some tough conditions.
Oh yeah, I have COVID.
Yeah. Dan, thank you so much for being here. I know that we, as musicians, as people, we've all been heavily impacted by COVID. But I'm very happy to see that you're feeling better in decent spirits. And we're so happy to hear you.
Woo! I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. For having.
Yes, absolutely. And then we're gonna pass it on over to my stream queen's sibling, Arson Nikki. What you got for us, Arson?
Hi, my name is Arson. I stream here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Arson Nikki. Not really doing a ton of stuff publicly because it's not quite ready yet, but we will get there when we get there. And I am so happy to be here to talk music. It's one of my favorite subjects. For anyone who watches the stream, they know that I have my stuff ready to go for today. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Talking music. So happy to have you, Arson. Much love. And up next, we got DJ Alpha Omega, a really close friend of mine. Hello, DJ.
Heya, Sixy, and hi, stream queens and viewers. How's it going? I'm DJ Alpha Omega. I'm a DJ, musician, aesthetic addict, uber dork, and very honored to be here with all of you.
And also, a lot of our artists here, even our non-drag artists, work with and, feature drag in what they do and in their communities. And we absolutely stand them. Right next to me is a good friend of mine, Andy Oro. Tell us about yourself, Andy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Oro. So I've been a DJ for the past 3 years in Los Angeles, hoping to DJ elsewhere once the pandemic's over. But yeah, so if you ever want to see me on Twitch, I stream mostly at Made to Move LA. And we have a channel over there that we do DJ streams, virtual parties. And yeah, been doing that, lately. But yeah, that's who I am.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being here, Andy. Andy's a close friend of mine. We actually went to college together, and I just love Andy's vibes, love the music. And last but not least, we have our classical musician in the house. Hello, Ruin Crown.
Hi, my name is Ruin Crown. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Yes, I'm a classically trained flautist. I've been that way for 15 years and I wouldn't want to go back. It's featured right here if you couldn't tell. Just this wonderful instrument just sitting right here for you to look at. Other than that, when I'm not playing music, you can catch me at Ruin Crown on Twitch. We play RPGs, JRPGs, just all of those fun things. We like to stress ourselves out over there.
Who doesn't like stress? And
Let's stress ourselves out.
I love that you mentioned stress. I think that the most appropriate thing for us to first talk about, it's the first panel. We are all performers in some capacity. Can we talk about nerves? Do y'all get the stage fright, the goosebumps, the heebie-jeebies? Is that still a
Yeah.
thing? I see
Yes.
Dan from Deuterella nodding. How do you cope?
helps.
Alcohol? Listen, club life. Welcome to the stage, alcohol. No, that's real. So sometimes we need to have a sip before and maybe during the gig. What else do we do to cope with our nerves, our anxiety?
I don't
think
know.
that-
I just I've thrown up in my mouth before.
We're starting there. Welcome to Stream Queens.
Just-
Just out of anxiety. Dan's a Cancer, like myself, so I
Yeah.
get that.
I
It's a
would
real
say
vibe.
I would say for me, so it's a little specific to DJing, but I always go in with 3 songs that I know I'm going to start out with. And that helps it so that I don't have to worry about selecting in the moment when I'm still getting settled. The other thing too is that, and this goes for really any of the artistic work that I make, I sometimes don't even like handle the stress of nerves and I just channel it into whatever I'm doing. And like, if I'm feeling intense right now, like the show is about to start off intense. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's harness it.
Mm-hmm.
Use the chaos. You know what I'm saying? If you've seen pretty much any of those of us that stream on Twitch, if you've seen any of our streams, I think they incorporate our natural chaos, and I think that's so important. So one thing for the
Very
chat,
much so.
I'm going to be at the end of the stream, everyone is going to be sharing the 6 songs that make up the soundtrack of their life. We're all going to be doing that. Hello. Music, yes. So think of those for yourself as well. Feel free to share what those 6 songs are in the chat. But we'll get there. We'll hold on to that one. Now, so let's turn it a little bit. So just before Stream Queens Con started, they were having a town hall about a variety of issues here on Twitch. And one thing that came up was the DMCA things that are going on. I think as you know, musicians and the fact that we're here on Twitch, I think that it's so important for us to touch on not necessarily like what to do, because listen, we might make music, but that doesn't mean that we know exactly what to do in all this. But what are some things that we as musicians can contribute to in this time of, you know, people's content being removed because of DMCA violations and things like that? It's just not as accessible to use songs anymore to communicate and to build community. What do y'all think about that? Going straight to the
Well-
Barbara Walters moment.
I honestly feel that it's about making license-free music that people are allowed to use and also finding out who these artists, what songs are able to be used, and then spreading that information and promoting these people. Because it's more about the people at the top of these companies that are signing on to a lot of these musicians that are making it hard for them. Because the musicians don't really care. It's the companies that hold, the rights to everything.
So true.
So being able to know who's able to be played and then spreading that, it's like, hey, you know what? This is available. We're going to go ahead and promote this and let it be known so people don't get hit with the DMCA.
Come through, yeah. So it's more about licensing, or creating the music that is license free for people to use.
Yes.
Work. What else? What else do y'all think?
Something that I'm kind of thinking about so what we were doing is a virtual party like once a month, and we would just play whatever. And if we can continue to do that, we will probably still try.
Yeah.
But some things that we did that's really cool is having, live performances instead of electronic artists, because we do usually like house, techno, more that. So we try to find artists where they can play like their own music that is able to be played. And unfortunately starting to look at some other options just in case we have to go that way.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is having multiple options. And that was through you're doing that through Made to Move LA, right?
Yeah. The one we did with like an artist was Solterra. They're based here in LA, and she did like a really cool like live set with like it was a horror themed Day of the Dead Twitch, and so yeah, so we did that, and then we're able to actually like keep the clips up and stuff.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Have anyone, and we can still continue to touch on this, has anybody had any DMCA issues as yourself as a musician?
Yeah.
Ruin, I see you nodding. Ruin Crown.
Well,
let's talk about it.
I've presented 2 half recitals so far on Twitch, and so that's me actually like playing my instrument with some backing, and I've actually gotten like my own VODs have been muted. So like me playing my own instrument, I've been muted, and I'm just like, how does that work
Are
out?
you
So
while playing? So you were getting down on your on your Lizzo flow.
Yeah, on my
not with
flow.
Lizzo music. Not with Lizzo music.
Mozart, Dante and C. Anyone? Mozart.
Come on, Dante. Welcome to the stage, on Dante.
Dante and C. But yeah, it was the opening song, and I kept it up for I don't know, I think like 7 hours after the fact, like the recital, and I went back before I took it down, and there were several segments that were muted, and I was just like, okay, whatever, it's going down anyway. Thank God I recorded myself. Like,
so we're getting DMCA is, listen, y'all, DMCA is even affecting the dead composers. Like, no one is safe. You know what I'm saying? So just be vigilant. Mozart, you said Mozart. Mozart?
No, that's what I'm saying. He did.
Oh, you think you said he's not dead? I was like, what did I miss?
He did.
I was like, Mozart.
Like somebody's making money out still.
Somebody is
exactly. That's what it is.
I guess so.
I don't know who, but
it's a real thing. So so we can it's an ongoing discussion, like what to do with DMCA. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to add in about this before we move on really quick?
I'll say that I went so far as to like actually like pay for a license for like a specific library of tracks, and then when I played them I still got muted, and I sent in a request for it to be unmuted. I signed the thing. I said I have the paperwork. I can send to anyone who wants to unmute this, and as of today I have still not heard back. So even when you go through all of the routes that they want you to go to, and they is a big word, there's a lot of parties involved in these types of issues. It's an institutional thing. It's not just, the blame definitely doesn't rest on just one entity's shoulders. But even when you go through all the processes, it still sometimes will not work out.
100%. And that's something I think, if there is one takeaway for everybody here, especially in terms of Twitch, just I'm a big fan of the sentiment of cover your ass. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do, because people will be really quick to pull and take what you have going on, but far slower to actually create solutions and like pathways to do it in this, this ominous correct way. You know what I'm saying? So we'll leave that. We'll touch on that as things develop and things come in. So let's go with something lighter. What was everyone's first physical copy of music that you had in your possession? Whether you purchased it, whether you happened upon it. I love happening upon music. You know what I'm talking about? I'll start. Mine was actually, if I'm thinking, so the first thing that I purchased was for sure, and I think that I'm going to share this one with someone on the panel, is Hit Me Baby by the legend, the icon, Britney Spears. It's free Britney. Speaking of music, but we're not going to touch that today. But the first thing that I think I happened upon was some Stevie Wonder compilation album. So Ribbons in the Sky, My Sherry Amore. Let me know. I want to sing the songs, but we just talked about DMCA. So, what were y'all's first copies of music?
My first one was the NSYNC debut album, NSYNC. I got it for Christmas.
Come on, self-titled.
From my mom. And I listened to that on repeat all the time, and looking at that cover, I looked at Lance and I was just like, me and you, we're on the same page here. We're on the same page. I think we know what's coming down,
Like, Lance, come to the light.
I'm here. We need you here.
So we got Britney, we got NSYNC, we got some of the staples. Who else we got? Stevie Wonder. Who else we got?
I'm with you on the Britney thing. A Baby One More Time was the first album that I received. I don't know about you, but like your first piece of music is very special, very sentimental. And although I haven't necessarily kept up with Britney as close as I was when I was a lot shorter, I still feel an affinity and an attachment to Miss Britney Spears that I don't think will ever go away.
Come on, Arson Britney. Yes. Dan, what was your first copy of music? Deuterella. What inspired Deuterella?
Okay, well, I remember my grandma taking me and my brother to Tower Records, and I was buying cassettes, and this is my first cassettes I chose, and there were soundtracks. One of them was a very Brady, the Brady Bunch movie soundtrack.
No! Serving Caucasian realness.
So those two, I mean, I just remember listening to that shit. I mean, can I say that?
I just
All
said
the
I said Caucasian realness. You're fine.
I mean, those are like, those did it for me, I guess. And then after that, I received Tragic Kingdom on cassette, and that was like just life changing.
I love music. We could do this all day, and we might. We're taking over Stream Queen's Con. Andy, did we get your first copy?
So I feel like I had a lot of CDs in the house for a while from my mom because she was doing like that mail-in CD order stuff.
Oh my
Do you remember
gosh.
that?
Like
Yeah.
what, like how
So,
Netflix used to be.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so my mom would get the big old paper things and she would like whatever fill those out. So we had NSYNC, we had the Backstreet Boys, we had Britney Spears do that because like my mom was pretty young too. She was in her 20s, so she was like down for that stuff too.
Yeah.
But I feel like the first like I picked was the Good Charlotte album. It was about like 9 or 10, and it was like the one that I like. Nobody else wanted it, and but that one was for me.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was like one of their. I think it's like their first album, like the Good, Bad, and something. I don't know.
Come on,
Yeah.
good shot. Yes, we're getting some range here. And DJ, what we got?
So in my house, we had vinyl, we had cassette, we had CDs. So music was always a big thing, especially with my mom encouraging, me to be a musician because I had a passion for it. But I think when it comes to like first physical CD, the one that really kind of hit me the hardest was Depeche Mode's Violator and Gorillaz.
Mm.
I remember picking them both up at the same time. And like I picked up CDs before that, but these meant a lot because Gorillaz was so aesthetically appealing, both in the like different type of genres of music that they mixed into it, as well as the style. And Depeche Mode kind of just had the synths, the dark nature, and the the diverse sexuality that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a guy and I sing synth and I do it in a sexy way, not just to, seem tough or something like that,
That's
Yeah.
so cool. I
Es-
love that.
Especially in the physical era of music. Music is way different now. You could get it like that. Back in
Oh,
the
in a
day, you had
second.
to like look for it.
Music
It
was
was
like
Yeah.
sacred when you had to, especially when we were young and we had to like, it was sort of like, people, on Twitch that, or anyone really that might have saved up to buy like the first video games or whatever. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's something so special. And since we're on Twitch, something I don't know how well versed in video games all of us are. I know not all of us stream on Twitch, but is there a video? This is pretty specific. Is there a video game soundtrack that just is to die for? And if you can't think of a video game soundtrack, is there like a movie soundtrack that like rips your heart?
Time.
Wait, say it again.
Zelda's Ocarina of Time. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It like just
Fabulous.
gets
Oh, perfect.
It just gets yes.
like
Love it.
I don't know. It's like so emotional. Video game music is always emotional.
I love,
It's
and
just-
I love that same pocket of music, like the Final Fantasy soundtracks. The Xenoblade has a really good soundtrack. Oh gosh, favorite soundtrack? I don't even know. I'm asking these questions. I don't have answers. I think I would say Final Fantasy 13. One of the worst in the franchise, but the soundtrack, Fantasy Chef's Kiss.
No words.
Yeah, I'm with you on like the Zelda and the Final Fantasy. I mean, that just was a good era. Like you had Metroid, you had Mega Man, you had Castlevania, Streets of Rage, which for
Yes.
me, Streets of Rage, especially Streets of Rage 2, that was huge. Maybe that's what led up to like the DJ thing too, because they took influences from the clubs in the 80s and 90s and then put that into video game music.
Mm.
It was kind of like a awakening when video game music was like, hey, let's stop just being beeps and boops and let's actually be a soundtrack. I think Castlevania Symphony
Yes.
of Night
Oh,
is
Mhm.
thank
one
you
of
for
my
saying it.
favorite. It's just so good, and they went
Ugh.
above and beyond. They're like, let's make this theatrical. And Alucard, come on, like
Look,
Take me. Take me.
take me as I am. Wait, stop singing. Take me. That's all I'm saying.
Rent. I would probably say for me, it would have to be like one of the most. My sister played a lot of the Final Fantasies when I was growing up, and I can somewhat pull melodies a lot of the time, and so I kind of remember them, and those go on in my head over and over again. So Final Fantasy VI, which I played for the first time, like last month, like a lot of people were surprised. They were like, "How do you know this music?" I was like, "I listened to this music growing up. What are you all talking about? The opera, iconique. You don't have to
so
tell
good.
me."
Do not get it twisted.
And Castlevania Symphony of the Night, if you have not played that game, if you have not listened to the soundtrack to it, you have to. It's one of the best soundtracks to a video game. I just think I didn't even think of it until we started talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, and then you said it, DJ, and I was like, oh, so right, because you could pop PlayStation CDs into a CD player, and then they would play the soundtrack for the video game, and so
Wait,
that's what I used to do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
that's a
and if you, yeah,
There
and
was a
if you
hidden track.
yeah, and it was Alucard speaking to you, and it was like, "Oh, you found the secret track," like blah 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 blah, and I was like, "Alucard knows who I am."
I'm like Squirtle. Did you know about this shit? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, I'm on the retro panel this Friday, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know this. Uh, any Arson, Andy, video game or movie soundtrack?
Yeah, I would say for me, I would split it into two categories. I would say Minecraft is a great soundtrack for like general purpose listening. You could put the Minecraft soundtrack on in any context and it would work. And people would not necessarily know that it was a video game soundtrack. And they'd just be like, what is this beautiful music? And you'd be like, this is the Minecraft soundtrack.
It's an anti-anxiety medication, I think.
For sure. And then I would also say for soundtracks that you like know straight away that it's a video game soundtrack. This is very niche and very specific, but like the Pokemon Silver, and really any of the Pokemon like Game Boy games, when I hear that battle soundtrack, like I know exactly what game it's coming from. I know exactly what situation we're in. Sometimes I even know what town we're in, what which enemy we're fighting, because
Do you
it's
know
like
the Pokemon?
do-
Do you know if it's a Zubat?
Are you a Pokemon master?
Oh my God.
by the sounds that they make, maybe.
You know what?
but-
Yeah.
But I mean that soundtrack, and maybe it's just like super like specific to me, but it's just so iconic, and I can pick it out from a mile away. And they only really had like square waves and like white noise to work with in terms of composition. To be able to like throw you into the heat of battle like with just a couple of beeps and boops is like pretty amazing to me.
Honestly, creative soundscaping in games and even in like you think of cartoons like Tom and Jerry, where it's entirely based off of like how the music moves and that influences what the character, like the sounds of the instruments influence what the character looks like. It's a whole like DNA. And Andy, you have a video game soundtrack, or I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I know. Okay, so I'm the one, y'all. I'm the one that's here that doesn't play video games really. And, like I'm trying.
Come on,
I
representation.
just start playing with my hair. I'm just like
You came to the right place.
Hey, I'm on Twitch.
You're here.
You had a Discord before
It's
I
not
hit you
just for
up.
gamers.
True. I did have my Discord. Yeah, no, I'm trying to find games. I've been trying during the pandemic to like find games that I like though, because I feel like I never gave it the chance. But I'm interested in random thing. Is it called Fandango? Is it Wild Fandango? It's an older game
Is
from
it
the
a game?
90s.
Fandango isn't that a
Yeah,
weird like streaming app?
it's like a there's skeletons like going through this. Do you know what I'm talking
That
about?
sounds
I need
familiar,
to find the name, but
but I'm
I'm
not
going to
sure.
play the game.
Googling.
It's very cool. Shoot, what is it?
G-
Pull up the
I'll find it
Google.
and we'll
And
come back.
Andy
But
Andy said the
I'm
soundtrack
trying.
that I will love is this.
I'm looking to the future. You know, we need.
Oh my gosh. Now,
Grim
okay,
Fandango.
Grim Fandango. That
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So
That's in some store that I've scrolled
Classic.
past
I'm
recently.
gonna try it, y'all.
Okay, so so we've shared a few things, but you know, as musicians, we all gig, right? We all perform in public spaces. Maybe not so much this year. So I guess in terms of creation, in terms of gigs, like as a musician, as an artist, how have you been affected personally by the pandemic and COVID this year? I know we're switching right up to something fun and bright, but it's I think we're being such expressive people. It's such a real thing. I think this year has been heavy for a lot of people, and it's been really challenging for creation for a lot of us also. So how we doing?
I would say for me it's definitely I started doing my half recital series because of us being in quarantine, and I was like, people kind of need, whether or not you like classical music, you listen to it on the daily or not, like sometimes just sitting there and listening to it can do, good things for you. So like I was like, I'm just gonna do this half recital, we'll see how it goes. So that's like how I started it. But like the ensembles and things that I played with, like even teaching private lessons, like those have been no more. Like I think some of them are meeting, but I'm not taking the chance. And especially a lot of the people in those ensembles are older. So, I don't want to be a catalyst for, something to happen to them, because I've already received emails from both organizations that I used to play with that there have been a few people who have died.
Wow.
And it's truly unfortunate. Whether or not they were still playing in the ensemble, but it's just like it is an older demographic that I play with. So I just have chosen to stay away and just plan half recitals in my in my basement.
That's awesome. And it's like it's the fact that like it's not about like you know that it's about the art, like even just listening to you talk because it's like you're finding the alternative, you know what I'm saying? Some people
Mhm.
they'll either cut it off or just try to steamroll and keep doing it in spite of everything going on. And you know, to each their own. But I personally love how you're handling that.
Thank you. I try.
I think that's great. I relate to that because I think I'm kind of like an organizer when these things happen. I want to find something maybe that can help everybody. So like I think a week or so into us being at home, I was like, we got to do something virtual. Like we got to do this. So we were already a part of an online internet radio station called virtualpublic.net. And so we decided to stream on there and then do Zoom parties with it. And then eventually that transformed into Twitch. But it was crazy because we were getting like 70 up to 75 people like joining because they missed the monthly parties we used to do in person. But just seeing how many people thanked us for that and everything, I think a lot of music for me is community. I miss seeing a lot of the people that I used to see at like warehouse parties and shows and just like going to any venue in LA and knowing I'd probably see somebody to say hi. And so I miss a lot of that. But, in the digital world, it's been cool to see like people still try to support each other and come up with like interesting ways like this for
Yeah.
people to connect.
Mhm.
And now I'm like so interested in seeing what all you do. Like I'm gonna look at all of y'all's stuff after this and
Watching.
have cool, yeah, just have cool new stuff to do. Like I don't know. So
Yeah. And that's a quick reminder for everybody to like watch our friends that are joining us here on chat today. I mean, everybody here is connected to a Twitch channel in some way. I know Deuterella has performed and continues to perform in Queer as Punk, a show that is broadcast here through the channel that is at Princess Forever. Arson, Nikki has their own Twitch channel, member of Team Stream Queens. DJ has their own Twitch channel. They're a variety streamer. They were just playing some Minecraft. Ruins out here playing some Final Fantasy on their Twitch channel. Andy DJs over at Made to Move LA, their Twitch channel. And I'm SixyBB. And y'all, you know that part. DJ. How I know that you
So
actually DJ and Arsa. This like both of you sort of piggybacking off of Andy. All three of y'all are DJs. How's this year affected what you do?
So there's a double-edged sword to it. We all know how the music industry is, the talent industry, everything. There's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of old blood that doesn't want to let young blood in and has some old values in it that they need to get rid of as well as themselves. And thankfully, because they're so behind on the times but have secured a position, this pandemic has been very challenging for them. But people that are creative minds, people that are in the know, people that want to express themselves and have the passion for it, have seeked out different avenues like Twitch, Discord, Mixcloud, different things, making things happen in a digital world where this old blood is kind of like, I don't know how to do this. How do you open this PNG file? Like type of thing. And yeah, and honestly, I'm going to be honest. I think that with everyone that has kind of kept things alive in the digital world, it's not only helped a lot of people's mental health, but it's shown people that, hey, there's more ways for you to express yourself and get an audience. And once the pandemic is done, you're going to see a lot of new blood and a lot of new talent on the scene because they're the ones that have been keeping things alive. They're the ones that have been making events happen, and it's coming back. And that's just the way it's been, is that like creative minds will always seek an avenue to create. So fuck you, pandemic.
Living. That's such a word.
I want to add one little thing to that because I think it's totally true. Like, especially with a lot of old school DJs who just don't know how to like get an audio interface to like connect properly to their computer and all that. I will say that if you have an old school person who's struggling to do that, but they're a good person and they were supporting of you in the IRL life, take the time to help them out because that will go
Totally.
so far. So, but I get you on the ones that have been gatekeepers. Feel you on that
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
There's levels to it.
The grumpy DJs.
The grumpies. That's
Arson. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. That's it.
Work. Arson, how have you been doing in this Pamela demic?
It's been really interesting because so DJing live and curating like a pre-recorded mix are two different skill sets in my opinion, and I am definitely more of someone who is like a read the room, feel the vibes, and then play whatever is happening alchemically, and it always works. Whereas when it comes to like actually sitting down and like putting a mix together, that is absolutely not my strong suit. And of course, when you're playing music on Twitch, for instance, you can see the chat, but like seeing people's like typed reactions is not the same as like being able to see a dance floor and like see who's going to get a drink and who's leaving and who is sticking around and all that stuff. Cause that's like really like good, like unconscious information that is really, really good to have. And also there's just a little X factor that like only comes with being in person that you have to hone over time. It's not something that everyone has necessarily like intrinsic to to the way that they play, and so to like have that suddenly like removed and be like, oh, just kidding, you can only play tracks in your own sort of like vacuum, is a little jarring, I will say. But it's been really nice because it's actually forced me to examine that part of my work and sort of be like, okay, how do you put together a predetermined playlist and how do you make sure that it flows all together? Because I can do that, but I haven't necessarily been able to do that as well in the past. So in a lot of ways, those limitations have really forced me to get better at some things that I used to be a lot weaker at. So was it a little painful in the beginning? Absolutely. Am I grateful that I kind of had to have my feet held to the fire a little bit? Absolutely.
It's evolution, and I think that you're hitting on like so many important points, and it speaks to like how like deeply rooted creation and performance is for us when we are like overcoming all this mountain of BS, OBS, if you will, in order to get to just get in front of people and get our art and our expression in front of an audience. So love it. Dan, Deuterella. Y'all are like live ass performers. Like, how you do?
Oh my
How you
God.
doing? How you doing?
I mean, now we're fine, I would say. I mean, But when it happened, I mean, the first day of pandemic, we had a party set up. You know, it was a video premiere. We had all these bands, drag performers ready to go, and and it was just like, sorry, everything's like shut down. So that was definitely like it was rough. You know, it was not what we wanted at all, especially when you feel like the creative juices are like flowing the proper way, the water's going, and it just got stopped. But I think I'm blessed to have someone like Mellow Thing, like Chris, you know, working with me because he grounds me a lot.
He's a
And
Taurus. We are both Cancers, and we work with him. He's doing it for both.
he's been amazing. You know, I'm glad that I work with someone that I could create and not really like think too much about it, you know, like, oh, is it going to be like this song? And it's like, no, we just make something and it becomes something. Um, I'm blessed that, you know, we have the avenues like Twitch, you know, that was something that I've always kind of was like, that's a weird live stream, but it's not really live. Because there's some, you know, like it was said before, like playing live in front of people, performing in front of people is just it's something you cannot mimic. Like whether it is digital, but IRL, it's just like you could feel it. You could feel the energy. And I think ultimately that's what I miss. Like that feeling, being around people. Um, you know, it's just a chaotic, magical energy that
100.
feel in the air. Right when you walk into that door to whatever venue it is, it's like, oh my God, you know, it's gonna happen. But we've been creating, you know, we've been like writing and just making a bunch of material because like we want to be ready for whenever these these veils get lifted, you know, like and I think that's kind of the approach we took is just like, you know what, it's a bummer right now, but just continue doing what you want to do and make it work
Yeah.
however you can.
Make it work, musicians. Yeah. No, that's so exactly what it is. Like, I don't know, like music, and specifically, I miss being in studios because working with Mellow Thing, I could like I could just so abstractly describe a sound, and I think a lot of people have this when you are collaborating as a musician. Maybe not this specifically, but just that like that Tia Tamara like
Yeah.
connection that happens. But I could just describe a sound and be like, I want it to sound like a squeaky tricycle riding around the rings of Saturn, and he'll be like, bet, and then and then just crank something so fabulous out. But yeah, we've been so immensely affected by this pandemic just as a human race. But one thing that that has transcended time and history is that we will make art, and we like with what we have available to us, we will make that art, and that has been something so inspiring to me personally this year because I have been in like the depths of like whatever to my music, whatever to my art, what is the purpose, and just being around like artists like yourselves in different capacities, whether it's here on Twitch or just people that I've known that are just like, "Hey, bitch, what you doing? You were all about this music, and now you're sad." And I think it's so important to have those people in our lives, whether you are a creator of art or a consumer of art, because we want the art. Somebody wants the art. So we either need to be inspired to make it or be moved to go and consume it ourselves. We're doing the damn thing. Now, before we get to our 6 song rundown, we got a couple more questions. What is the so we talked about the first physical copy of music that we have picked up and selected. What was the first live music experience that you had? Live music. You got one, Dan?
Yeah.
Lay it
Alright.
on us.
So, like a lot of gay kids, I loved No Doubt. Like they were like, I wanted to sing because of Gwen. I wanted to be in a band because of this band. And I remember it was like ninth grade, and they were touring with Garbage and the Distillers. And my mom got me tickets, and I went with my aunt and one of my school friends. And I remember like the Distillers were playing, and I wasn't really like well versed with them, even though they became like a huge influence. I remember like being in nosebleed seats watching them, like, oh, this is cool for my, this is cool for my first concert. Like I could see fine. And so after they played, I told man, oh, can we go get shirts? And she's like, yeah, let's go to the merch table. So we ended up, leaving the seating area, and I asked one of the security guards, "Where's the merch?" And she's like, "Take the elevator, and then it's down there." And then so I took the elevator down there, and then we were walking, and I just saw the opening to like the pit, and I was like, "Can we just go?" And so we just went, and it was an amazing experience because I ended up being like that close and like feet away from like these musicians that I've like admired, and it was just an amazing experience. Like it was so much fun. Everyone was into it. The energy was like unmatched, and that was my first concert, and it was like wow, this became like it came in, and it was like okay. But I was like, oh my god, there's Gwen right there doing push-ups with Brody. Like,
No doubt.
hey,
That's so
like that's
awesome.
yeah.
Low expectations, but like fully exceeded them. Beyond exceeded them. Love it. Don't tell Gwen. Don't tell Gwen what we said. Who else has the first live experience story for?
I'll go next if you don't mind.
I don't mind
'Cause
at all.
mine actually relates to garbage a little bit, so that's why I was like, oh.
The band or the substance?
Yeah, so the bands. But they so I was in ninth grade as well, and mine is a little more like hometown situation. But I grew up in Hemet, so about an hour and a half away from LA. So we were, going to local shows back in the day, and so I had never been to a show before, and I had a friend who was like a junior, and she had asked me to go to a show with her, so I felt so cool to like be like seeing bands, and it was so funny because it was like a basement show at a pizza shop called Sharky's, and
Sharky.
I was it was the Sharkies, yeah. And so I was waiting outside. I didn't have a cell phone, and she wasn't showing up, so I called her on the payphone and said like, "Hey, are you coming?" And she said, "Actually, I'm not going to be able to go anymore." And so I was already there, had already bought my $5 ticket, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm going in alone." So I went in, and I sat in a booth by myself. And I was just sitting there, and then I didn't know any of the songs, but I was like, "Oh, this is cool! Like, it's still cool to see a band." And then they did like a garbage cover, and then I was like, "Oh, I know this song. This is cool!" And started singing along, and with the crowd and stuff. The crowd of like 30 people. Hey, that's a crowd to me.
I'll
And so
take
for
3.
like, you know, 3, yeah, like
Take 3
seriously,
people in an
as
audience.
long I'll take a smile. But yeah, for 13, 14-year-old me, that was like a big deal, and I feel like I've always looked back at that as setting the tone for me.
I love that. And knowing what I know about you following that sounds exactly right. Like you're all about that underground music life, and I just love it. So who else we got? First live music experience.
Actually, to like bounce off of that was kind of like the same situation too for like my first like live concert experience. Just like kids from high school, they're like, yeah, we play in a band and we're playing at this show, you should come. And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I'm a teenager and I have nothing else to do. And I went, and it was like punk rock screamo, and people are doing mosh pits, and I'm sitting there, just like, oh my gosh, like I hope no cute boys want to throw me around. Like
Said no one ever.
please, like, don't put me in the middle. What are you talking about? No, but it was actually like I actually really enjoyed it. And I like bought a CD, and I like listened to that CD for like months because they only had like 5 tracks, but I was like, this is pretty good. It was their own original music, and I was like, this is great. But like first big production, I would say is probably the Monster Ball from Lady Gaga was like my first
What year?
big production. I don't remember. That was like senior of high school, so like 2009, 2010. Is that when she did it? I don't remember.
I went August 11th, 2010.
I love it.
I think I went before that. See, only remember this experience is because I was auditioning for Rent the musical, and they wanted me to be Mimi, and I took that date off of their tech week, and they're like, "Why would you waste our time if you knew you couldn't make it to this one tech date?" And I was like, "Girl, it's one day. I'll come back."
I'll make it to the
And I was like,
finale.
"It's my sister's wedding. What are you talking about?"
Too good, too good. I'll touch on my Monster Ball experience after we hear from DJ and Arson, so that I can cut myself off.
So my first concert was actually very unexpected. I didn't know that we were going to a concert, and I was with teens that were way older than me at the time. I was the youngest, but I kind of fit in because of my height and stuff, and just also, I was the eldest child, so it was always like a maturity level. And I got dragged to a concert with a band that I'd never heard of before. It was Sisters of Mercy,
Oh, cool.
and I forgot who they were playing with, but it was just such an interesting vibe, and the crowd was more interesting to me at the time than the actual music because I wasn't really familiar with the musicians playing, but I still dug it, and it had like a gritty sound, but something that, I'm like, wait a minute. This is not current. This is like a band that's been around for a while. And so, yet again, going from like physical to digital era, I started to look up more bands of that era and bleeding in stuff like that. And eventually, I actually booked them later on, so that was a thing.
Full
Crazy.
circle.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's super cool. I love this full culmination moment.
For real. I would say for me, the first concert that I ever went to, my mom had to take me because I was too young to go by myself. And it was for an outdoor music festival, and we went to see Blondie headlining. And Miss Debbie Harry came out in a, I'm not kidding you, highlighter neon yellow jumpsuit with a matching hat, and did Call Me, and it was, I mean, it was life-changing. And what was so funny too is that I did not have any conception about how how big of a deal that was. And now, like, however many years down the line, I'm like, thank God I went to that concert. I had no idea what was going on, but that was a big moment.
That's so fat. Blondie.
I
So, were you
know.
aware of your orientation before or after this?
I mean,
Did Blondie do it?
the question answers itself.
That is on Arsenic. Yeah. So no, I love that. So I was very sheltered as a kid. I didn't go to like my first like legitimate concert until I was in college. I just wasn't the going out kind of kid. I didn't go to parties. I was not the bitch you see before you today. But I was a Gaga stan all through college. Andy can attest to this, and now everyone else can attest to this. But no one else was like as into her as I was, especially in college. So I bought myself a ticket to her Staples Center show. I got my black ass on a bus at 6 a.m. in what I was wearing to the show. Because I had general admission tickets, and I was like, I'm getting in the pit, and I'm like, I'm making eye contact with a pit. So I did that, and this is before I was drinking, before I was doing all these like party things, which sends a different message. I don't do that. But anyway, we're going off the rails, but that was such a fun experience. But I was there all day, and my feet were killing me. And the first song that I saw her perform was I saw Dance in the Dark, and that's my favorite Gaga song. It was that before the gig. I was in full geesh, not drag, but I was looking fabulous. I was interviewed by NBC News. I can't find the video anywhere. Might have been ABC, but it was a good time. I'm certain she pointed at me. Everyone else tells me it's just because I'm tall. Okay, I'll take it.
Whatever works.
So, okay, so we've got a few minutes left. We've got about 10 minutes left. So before we jam out of here, we need to hear about the soundtracks of our lives. And again, chat, feel free to throw out songs that incorporate that What a terrible question this is to be sent, by the way, to musicians who appreciate all music. What are the 6 songs of that make up the soundtrack of your life? That is my question. Oh.
Y'all want me to take this bullet?
Yes, come
Go
on.
first. Come on, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
Come
it's
on.
the soundtrack to your life, and your life is, always changing and evolving. So what was my soundtrack in my life 10 years ago has changed. However, I would say that if I was to throw out some songs that really influenced me in different parts of my life, we're gonna kind of mix it up, like video game soundtrack, Streets of Rage goes straight and all the remixes. It just has a good energy vibe. Anytime I've needed to pick myself up, going back to that safe place and like also having that hard hitting club beat really hits me hard. Um, Depeche Mode, Leave Me in Silence, Laserhawk, King of the Streets, Trevor something, Your Sex is a Drug, and there's so many. It makes it so hard. I think that Santa Hates You, Scum is a big one because it kind of talks about a lot of things that are currently going on, and it also is like giving a hard hitting message, and messages are really big in songs. And then, honestly, what's the last one that we're gonna
What's
pop
the
out
last?
here? What's the last one? I'm gonna be honest, but I didn't say it earlier, but Madonna's Ray of Light, before I knew much of Madonna, really hit me hard, and Nothing Really Matters was a song that just always got me going, especially as
Yes.
like it just was so good. And people dissed on that video. That video was hot. Anybody that disses on that video, come fight me in real life.
Fight me IRL. We can do that.
I love it.
We just got a little bit of musical chairs happening right now. We'll be so ignore the names. We're back. We love that. Thank you, DJ. Hell yes. Who else has a who else has a 6-song soundtrack for your life?
So for me, the first one's gonna be a little odd. It's gonna be like coming from left field, but it's the overture to Wicked. So it like starts with no one mourns the wicked. Like it was my first musical I ever saw in person, and I was there with like my mom and my sister. And like I just remember like hearing the music and like every the dragon moving, and I was just like, oh my god, this is live theater. Like this is what it is. So it was like a big moment for me, and plus it was like a memory I share with my mom, which her and I were really close. And then like I would say the next song is probably Ironique by Alanis Morissette, because I just remember as a kid hearing that song. Like I said, I'm pretty good at choosing melodies and stuff, and I would just remember like screaming that song at the top of my fucking lungs. Um Born to Die by Lana Del Rey, because every time I hear that violin flush just go up, I just get transported to me on the ground, just like this. The camera is spinning outwards, and that's what I think of every time I hear it.
I'm gonna take a walk on the wild side.
Get Out of My Way by Kylie Minogue, which is just like it was like my anthem after I broke up with my college boyfriend. I was like, get out of my way, like this is me. Cause I Love You by Lizzo. I've seen her live twice, and like the bass to that song is just like it blows you out of the world. And then So Happy I Could Die by Lady Gaga. It's just a good one. It's just good, y'all. It's just
Phenomenal.
good.
Hell yes. Hell
That
yeah.
was a good.
I love the progression in like in homosexuality in that one.
I think I stayed over here for most of it. I think
Oh wait, yeah.
started with
Okay, we started with
Theater,
Wicked. What am I
and
saying?
maybe it went like this, but it was like, oh, we're over here.
On 10 since 10.
Full redacted, just over there.
All right. Arson, what do you got?
So I would say, so really early on, my tastes were a little bit heavier than some of my like younger peers. So I would put I loved early Yeah Yeah Yeah. So I would say Date with the Night is one of my favorite songs of all time. Karen O is also one of my drag inspirations. I feel this hair is very her. She's amazing and I love everything about her and that band too. I would also say in that same vein, I love this band called the Blood Brothers. They were locals to the place that I was living in when I was growing up. And so their song Trash Flavored Trash really, really hit me. It's an early song off of one of my favorite albums. And the fact that they played in my sort of earlier years, broke up, and then did like a reunion like 10 years later, and to be able to see like the progression from like then to then was absolutely wild. It was my first ever experience with a band like that. I felt the same way about the Postal Service too when they reunited. To like be able to see some of that in person was like just such a huge nostalgia treat. I would also say I do have to put in The Wolves by Bon Iver, because everyone, when they're growing up, has their like cry on the couch alone when it's raining song, and that was mine, if we're being completely honest. And then I would also say Pendulum by FKA Twigs is one for me too. When FKA Twigs' first album came out, I didn't listen to anything else for an entire month, and I listened to that album maybe 3 or 4 times per day. I was so entranced by everything about her, and that song just encapsulates everything I love about that record. I would also say Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. Kate is like, she means everything to me. If she were to do another concert, stint in London for like a month, I would drop everything I was doing just to go see her. She's really stunning. She's just perfect. And then for today, like in this moment, I would say my soundtrack to my life right now is Anthems by Charlie XCX. I think Charlie is making absolutely amazing pop music, just like constantly through and through. And that song lyrically is all about like missing your friends and wanting to go party in quarantine. And like the song is really loud and abrasive, and it's like, oh, this is everything I need right now and more. So those are my 6.
Love it. Now, really quick, we are at about our 4-minute mark, so I'm just gonna say that we have Arson, Dan, and then I'll just rifle mine off right at the end. But let's do it, Andy. What you got?
Oh,
Pick
okay.
some.
So I'm gonna be that one that couldn't narrow stuff down. So I'm just gonna go with like artists. I don't know if there's like a order to this really,
No.
but it's just artists that have just been around my life, for short and longer times that have seemed important. Anyways, Interpol was like one of the bands I felt like I was really attached to, like in middle school and still to this day. I live in Chinatown, so I got to see them at the Historic Park in LA for I think it was like the 3rd time I've seen them. But to have that moment of like, I live in the city, like I can see downtown from here, the band is playing in front of me, like down the street from my apartment, like this is crazy. Like 12-year-old Andy would be losing it right now. I thought, I don't know, that moment was really cool for me. Beach House has been a band I turned to quite a bit. Over the years, probably since college and on. Chemical Brothers, if you have not seen them live, put that on your list. They are amazing, and I've been making great music for a very long time. Baby Mother, if you don't know that rapper, you should definitely check her out.
Yes.
She is amazing. I did a random like last minute trip to see her December 28th last year, and it was super, super worth it. Amazing artist. Depeche Mode, I heard some people talking about Depeche Mode earlier. Amazing band that I've been into since I was a kid. Like, mom's been playing that for years, still special to me. When the fiance busted out the greatest hits of Depeche Mode out of his car, I was like, oh, this is great.
We're gonna get it.
And then I put Hercules and Love Affair just because I feel like that shows when I started to just get into, dancing and just finding my, love for the club.
Love it. Love in the club. Thank you for that. Stunning. These are great soundtracks, y'all. I'm going to be looking up all these songs if I haven't already heard of them. Dan, let's get our quick 6.
Free Money by Patti Smith. Give Me Back My Man, B-52s. 50-Foot Queenie, PJ Harvey. Story to Be Told, MIA.
He knows this is what.
Damn, what was the other one? White Stripes, Expecting. I don't these, but I just did.
Love it.
Just very cinematic.
Hey.
Oh, Happy House, Susie and the Banshees.
Phenomenal.
Such a good one.
So good.
Hey.
I'm gonna make really good outros and like I think all of those have all that.
No worries. Rifling through my list real quick. Dance in the Dark, Gaga. Dance of the Manatee by a band called Fair to Midland. Where am I? Lately by Stevie Wonder. Pass That Dutch by Missy Elliott. Blush by Zebra Cats. Time to Dance by Panic at the Disco. Work. There's a lot of dance named songs. Work. Twitch.tv/Arson Nikki, Twitch.tv/DJ Alpha Omega, Twitch.tv/Ruin Crown, Andy DJs over at Twitch.tv/Made to Move LA. Deuterella can be found during some Queer as Punk shows sometimes. That is Twitch.tv/Princess4EVR ever. I love you all so much. I'm a Betty Black, Rudy6, SixyBB. This is my Twitch.tv. Go there. This is the first panel of Stream Queens Con. We're just getting this thing crack-a-lackin'. Thank y'all so much for being part of our first panel. Thank y'all for being the inspiration to music and art and all that jazz. Stick around. We got more beautiful things coming. Bye, everybody. Stay on the call. I'm